Hi everyone, Sharon Richardson here. I'm going to show you my take on doing the Merry Christmas Explosion box, and what I've done I'll explain as I go through it. So here is a picture of the box that we'll be doing. It is with acetate. I've used Cricut craft board. Also I've used vinyl, and I've used the foil board as well. So then I'm going to show you in Design Space which one that it is, and it's this one here, and I've previously cut all the pieces, but I'll just go to customize so I can show you exactly what it is, and also the images and the fonts that are used in this box. I didn't design this box, somebody else did, but I have tweaked it a little bit to make it a little bit more user-friendly, forgiving, I guess you could say. So I'm going to go to customize now, show you what the pieces are. It'll take a little bit to load, so don't worry if it takes a little while, because it is quite a large project. So just wait for the pieces to load in Design Space. Okay, you can see them coming up in the layers panel over here. And then one thing that you'll need to do is to work out what your main box color is going to be, and whether it's going to have the same colored lid as opposed to what your inner. Design Space, we now have our trees, and we have 3 pieces for each tree that we're going to do. So there's 7 trees altogether. Excuse me. Then we have the base of our box, and then we have our card pieces that are inside when you open up the box. Then we have the lid of the box, and we also have the outer bow of the box. Now I want to change the colours. Over here in the layers panel, you click the circle of the colour, and then you just simply choose the colour that you want. I want the box lid in blue, so I'm going to change that to blue. And then I want the bows in white, so I'll change that one to white. There we go. The tail of the bow as well as the actual bow itself. And then the center of the bow, I'll change that one to blue. Then the base of the box is in red here, but I prefer to use a the craft board from Cricut, so I'm going to change that to white. Then once I've got all of that, then show you that we also have the score lines, and those sections there also have the vinyl on the top of those cards. You'll also see those score lines there, they fold in. You can also put your layers. You'll see that there are a lot of layers here. One of them is an acetate layer. Don't get that confused with the bottom of the box. And also you can, and they're behind the the base of the box. So don't think that you don't have all the pieces there, you actually do. Okay, so they're sitting behind. You can always bring them in front, but when you do, just be careful that if you're going to ungroup it, that you don't lose some of your score lines in the process. Okay, because you can lose some of the score lines if you're not careful as to what you're doing. You do need to group it back together if you're going to do any changes to it. You're going to make it bigger or smaller, make sure that you select all, and including your score lines here, and then make your changes and then group it together again as well. Okay, because this box has been designed by somebody else, not by myself, and it's already together. So now your next process will be, after cutting all the pieces out, will be to fold your trees. They've all been scored, and I suggest that you fold them in and then fold them out. You will need 3 pieces to make up one tree. So I found that a lot of people will just use the 2 pieces, but it's not. It's actually 3 pieces make one tree. You will have 7 trees altogether in the various sizes. You have to be quite precise with these, otherwise you'll have bits that are not together very well. They also stand up by themselves, and in doing so they'll stand up in the middle of the box underneath the acetate layer. Now at the bottom of the tree, each one has a little tab. You see that little tab there? That little tab, you will fold it forward towards the textured side of your cardstock. So just fold it up like that, because then what's going to happen later is that will sort of sit out, and you'll do this on each of these little trees, even the tiny ones, because they will be the parts that you will glue to sit it down onto the card, which makes the tree stand up. Alright, so it's very important that you don't glue that part together when you're doing the 3 layers of your tree. Alright, so now I've done that, I'm going to move those to the side, and I'll come back a little bit later with those. Now moving on to our box frame. The top part there is the acetate. This part here is the frame for your acetate. Now with this frame, I've folded all of my fold lines inward, and it is a very precise box. So what I've done with the acetate is each section there was actually cut individually. So what I've done is I've made it one piece, and that's my tweak to this design, so that you don't have to try and fit all these separate pieces inside this frame. There isn't a lot of maneuvering room on this frame, so you need to make sure that you get your glue in line rather than all over the place. Okay, then once you've got your acetate to the box, you just simply spread it thinly, and then one tab will go over the top of the other so that it fits very nicely and very neatly once it's all together. And this is another tweak that I've done with it. I've done it so that it's upside down rather than right side up. That'll make sense in a minute, because when we do the when we put the trees on the base, then you'll find that it'll all come together. That base there will go at the bottom of the card. Just moving that across there. Then your box will fold up inward, and your little trees will then go onto that edge there. Make sure that your outer edges of your box, use your boning folder to make them nice and crisp, your lines, and those tabs actually fold inward, and then that creates the corner of your box. then once your box is together, then they will sit flat once they're folded in. Just like that. And with the with the Cricut craft board, it actually makes a beautiful box. It's nice and firm without being too thick. Now what I'm going to do is to put the snow, and I've actually used now this one is a Kmart book cover contact, and I've used this as the snow for the top of the trees. I didn't want them to be too thick, and this material is very, very thin, but it's also quite effective as well. It looks great underneath the acetate. So I've cut them and I've scored them. It does score well. You can use the scoring stylus or you can use the scoring wheel, and then just use a boning folder to burnish them on with, or you can use your Cricut scraper to do the same thing. Make sure that you get them in the right place, and then once you've done that, then fold your tree over. This one wants to slip around a little bit. Fold it over, give it a bit of a burnish on the back, and you'll do this to each of your tree pieces, so that you'll end up with 3 exactly the same. That will be, oh, you can't really see that there. There you go. Exactly the same. That will then be glued together. Alright, so I'll do that with the trees. And the next thing that we're going to do is to show you where the cards go. Now I've used the foil board for these because I just like the colour and I like the texture of it. It's nice and smooth. And then what I've done is I've cut my house designs, my chalets if you will, and I've cut them out of the vinyl because I think that it's a lot easier to put a sticky back onto, well, this is the process anyway, put a sticky back onto the, and I've already weeded this by the way, onto the foil board. Now let's see if I can get this on here. Oh, it's a bit sticky. Hang on, let me see. Oh good, I've got that off. So let me turn this around now. I think it might be better if I turned it around somehow. I'll try it this way. Now I think I'll turn it around. There you go. That's better. Just simply get it on there, and once you've got on there, it avoids you having to glue all the little tiny pieces if you're doing it in cardstock. Okay, I know that most people are doing it in cardstock, but I prefer to use vinyl because it just makes it a lot easier to apply. Just use your scraper as I've just done there to make sure that it stays down. Also, when you're lifting it up, when you're taking off your transfer paper, try and do it from the vinyl end rather than the other end, because I've just separated that corner there. I'll have to glue that in a minute. And then you can use that transfer paper over again. And then what I'm going to do is to, I've cut the chalets out in that book cover again, because at the top of them they have like a little pattern of snow that's falling, and instead of doing it in the white vinyl, I wanted to do it in the silver. So rather than put the whole thing over it, I'm just going to place it on there and then get the pieces of the snow to go onto that little piece, you know, the foil board, to make it look as though it's sort of twinkling snow coming down rather than just opaque white. I just think it gives it a better look. So just going to peel that back now. Here we go. Ah, good. This is the time when you sort of hold your breath while you're doing it. I think that looks nice. You can't really see it as well in the video, but it does come up a lot better than just doing it as white snow. So I'll do that for a bit. Add some more little drops. You might need to use your fingernails or even one of the weeding tools. I've got a needle in a pencil here, or what was a pencil, and that helps me with these tiny weeny little things that we do. So it's the same. It's like the negative of the weeded chalet that I'm using to put the snow on. Now you don't have to do this, but I preferred that the card looks a lot nicer, the explosion box with the snow this way. And I'll do this to all 4 of the sections. But I may put like, you know, a tree here, a tree there, maybe a little path or something like that in the silver, just to offset it a little bit and make it rather than more of a 3D look. I guess you could call it that, more of a 3D. Just need to put that little corner, a little bit of glue up there where it had come adrift. Alright, and I've just got this side of it to go now, to put the snow on. There we go. You don't have to be exactly precise as to where the snow goes, even though you might, you know, have one piece here, one piece there. But just so long as it looks similar to what the picture is. So if you lose a few little pieces, it doesn't really matter. Just so long as you get it the way that you want it. That's all that really matters, because it is unique to you. There we go. Just a couple more there. Right, got it. That bit won't sit down. There we go. You know, for the effect, it's worth spending just that couple of extra minutes, just, you know, putting your bits of snow down. I mean, you can leave yours plain with no snow at all if you prefer, but I just like it this way. So there you go. I think that you can't really see the sparkle in the video, but it sparkles really, really well. And then that one will sit onto the base of the card. Just not sure whether I'm going to put it upside down or whether I'm going to put it the right way up, which way I'm going to have it. So when the card opens up, it's which way you want your house to be. I think I might have it this way. I don't know now. What? You got nobody here to ask, to give an opinion. I just eyeball this. I don't actually measure it at all. You just need it away from where your acetate is going to sit. So if you just measure it so that it's basically in the center of where your frame is there. Be liberal with your glue, but not to the point where it actually comes over. One thing about when you're doing cards is that you don't want to have bits of glue that show through everywhere. You just want it to be nice and neat. Do every card like you're giving it as a present, even if it's just for you. Or if it's just a sample of a card of what you do, do your sample as well as what you would do if you were doing it for someone else. Oh, one of my snowflakes has come off. There we go. Right, now, that would be, there's another one there. Pop that down. There we go. Okay, so now I'll get those other ones finished and then I'll come back. I just show you before I leave there that that's what's going on there. I just need to look for that other little house. Where is that other little house piece? It'll be here on the desk somewhere. I'll find it. In the meantime, the next part will be the bow. And I've started to curve this already. And I've just done this. I tried to do the boning thing, but I think it leaves a line. You know, it leaves sort of wrinkle lines. So I think I prefer to do it with my fingers like this. Just work it round with your fingers. When you're doing a bow like this, you don't want it to have those lines in it. A little bit of glue in the center here. I'm using art glitter glue. And I've got the bigger bottles, so then I've put it into smaller bottles. It is available at Craft Online. And so are the little fine tips that you see on the top of the glue bottle there. Hold that together. You can actually put those little plastic clips onto it to hold it together. You can do something else while you're waiting. I find it just as easy to just hold it for a few seconds, then put some more glue in the middle. There we go. Squeeze it together. It won't take long to dry either. Then I'm going to place that onto the bow tails. Just a bit of pressure on that bow makes it stick quite nicely, quite quickly. Right, now we've got the bow tail. Try and get that in the middle of the bow. And right in the center, have your tails evenly at both ends. And then the blue piece here is for the center of the bow. Right, that's ready to go now, ready to stick. That'll go in the center, but first of all, you can put it on the side that you put together, or you can put it on the other side. Seeing as we're going to have tails on it, I will just put it on the right side, a little bit of glue in the middle. There we go. Hold that down for a few seconds. There we go. Right way round. Okay. Now we're going to put some glue on the back of the bow, and then that's going to then have the center tucked over. Make sure to get it right in the center so it's nice and even. There we go. Now some more in the center of the back of the bow. A little bit more there. Going to tuck that over on the other side. Don't worry if it bows up because it will go back. There you go. You might need to use your fingernails or something to hold it together. Or as I said before, if you've got one of those little plastic clips, you can use those. A lot of people use those for sewing these days. So there you have it. There's your bow. Now the next thing is the lid of the box. Just on those tabs, a little glue on the tabs. Quite an easy box to put together. I have scored it using the scoring wheel, and then I've simply folded it. Be careful when you're actually folding your foil board in and burnishing it so that you, or rather using the boning folder. If you do it too hard, you will actually take the foil off the board, so just be careful with that. Right, so now putting the box together, on the tabs on the side, make sure that you don't over glue it because you will have little bits that sort of push out, and you don't want to get too many pieces of glue on your actual box because it does stand out quite a bit. So you want to try and keep it as clean as possible. So that's the second corner done. So now only 2 tabs to go. Alright, and it fits together very, very nicely. And it looks very crisp. Now you see the way that I just wiped that glue off then. You'll get a little bit more, so make sure that you hold it together firmly. That's why I like the glitter glue. There's no actual glitter in the glue. It's just called art glitter glue. Using a very fine point tip on it. Just holding that together. There you have it. There's the lid of the box. Got a little bit of glue on there. I'll have to get that off. Right, now the bow will go on. It can go at an angle or it can go straight across. Good idea to find out where your middles are on the box is to just place like a little mark on either side, putting enough glue on the bottom of the bow so that the bow doesn't fall off the top of the box. You would hope that people wouldn't pick it up by the bow. Now just double checking the sizing. Using my fingernail just to put the middle. Not enough so that you notice it, but enough for me to know where it's going to go. So the V in the actual tail of the bow is where I've put that, and the ribbon in the center of the bow is where I've got it meeting at the other end. Hold it on firmly. Don't push down too hard that it makes your lid bow in the middle, as in, yeah, pardon the pun. Yeah, so that it sort of springs back, but just enough so that it grabs the bow and sticks down. Then use your thumb underneath like I've just done there. And now we'll be on to putting the acetate inside the card frame. See the way that the bow sits up nicely? It's no creases or anything, no wrinkles in it. And I think that's because rolling it around on my finger rather than using the boning tool or the boning folder. Okay, so now we're up to the acetate going into the frame. Going to use the fine tip on the glue bottle. Just might need to unblock the nozzle there for a second. Okay, if you can rest it up against something, I'm just using a stamping pad here to rest it against, and that way I get the glue right in the corner of the frame. Because when you put the acetate in, you will find that the glue will spread out anyway. So you don't want to spread it out too much, because then it'll spread out even more once you put the acetate in. Just do each section. Do the inner square first. Then you can go around all the other tabs. And by the time you've done that, the glue's tacky enough for you to then put the acetate on. Some of the outside frames don't have a tab on it, and that's because they will butt into one that does have a tab on it. You'll see that when I draw it up and put it together. Doesn't matter if you miss a little bit, because you will see little places where you'll need to add a bit more glue, and that's perfectly fine. Just so long as you have it, what you might consider watertight, but it's not actually, it's glitter tight, because there will be glitter that's being put into the acetate cube, so that it's sort of like a shaker box, if you will. Right, just about done there. Now we get the acetate. There's a rough side and a smooth side. The smooth side will go to the outside, the rough side on the inside. However, and I have white dots on the outside, but if you want to have silver dots, then by all means turn it around. Make sure you get your corners correct, and then let your sides drop down, and then they'll start to stick. This is put in one piece rather than everyone else is doing single pieces and then trying to join them up match them up perfectly by gluing them into the frame, whereas I preferred to tweak the design and make it so that the acetate pieces were all in one piece rather than 5 single squares of acetate, which was the original design. Then you just hold it firmly. You kind of feel like an octopus here, where you've got all your hands and fingers and everything holding everything at the moment. You can use those little clips, I guess, but I didn't want to have any indentations in my in the frame, so I'd prefer just to use my fingers to hold it down for a few seconds on each one. Right. Then what I'll do is I'll turn it over where the folds are in the centers, in the center square. Make sure it's stuck down really well. Right, that's stuck now. So now what I'll do is I'll fold them in, and then I'll use the boning folder to make it nice and crisp so that you get a really nice fold line there. I'll do that to each of the sides. And then that's going to be stuck onto the other tab along the edge there. Spin it around, do the other two. Just a little bit on the edge there that needs to be added with a bit of glue. If you find any of the other edges need a little bit of glue, just add a bit more. Just be mindful of it not spreading out onto the acetate. So then going to, sorry about, I don't know if my arm's there or not now. If you get a bit of glue on there, you can use just baby wipes or something like that just to wipe it off. Don't have a lot there, so I'm just using my thumb to get rid of anything that's there. Got a little bit on the inside there, so I need to get rid of that. There we go. It's gone. No, a little bit there. Okay. That's where the tabs will go. And I'll put the rest of the vinyl houses onto the cards. Then I've got my centerpiece, and that's going to go onto the box like that, and it'll sit in the center of the card. just like that. Then the lid will go on once all the sides fold up. Alright, I've done my cards, and they're going to be placed onto the base of the box. Just don't know whether I was going to do them upside down or right side up. I think I decided that I was going to do them so that they faced inward rather than outward. Two with snow, two without, but all with some sort of glitter on them. What can I say? You know, sparkling is a great way to go. You can never have too much sparkle. So I finished putting those onto the card. Just eyeballing it again. Just make sure that you leave enough room for the box to sit within the center square. There we go, done. The glitter looks terrific on the little cards. You can't really see it that well in the video. And then you just fold it up, and the sides will just fold flat once you've got the box in there, the acetate box. Could put a little message on those corners if you want to. Alright, now we'll get the trees. I have to put the trees together. They've all got their snow tops on. And then the next step is to glue 3 of them together. There is a little tip on these trees though, and I don't mean the top of it. Okay, so 3 of these make 1 tree. Make sure that they're well folded. Folded in, folded out, folded in. A little bit of glue down the edge. Now you've got a little tip on the end here. That's the tip I was talking about. It needs to be folded towards the textured side of the tree. The side that you have your snow on the top. So the trees need to fold into that, like so. And then we'll get another tree and place it right next to the one with the glue. There you go. It also has a little tip on the bottom, and it will face towards the textured side of the cardstock. And then just place glitter on, the glitter glue on the inside branches and glue those together. Try and get it as exact as you can so that you don't have one higher or lower than the other, or you know, you want to try and get them as close as you can to being stuck together. Some people would just have the 2, but it's designed to have 3 trees per tree, if that makes sense. 3 layers to the 1 tree. Then we'll sit that one in the center like that. And then a little bit of glue on the inside branches as well. Make sure the tab is tucked down. Having the texture on the cardstock helps you with which way to tuck your little tab at the end, your little tip, because then that creates, the three of them there create the feet of the tree, so that when you tip it up the right way, they'll stand up by themselves. There we go. So then glue inside the branches again. And I'll be doing this for each tree, all the sizes. There are 7 sizes for the trees. Or rather, there's not 7 sizes, excuse me. There are 7 trees altogether in, I think it's 3 sizes I've got here. Okay, so I'll do all the rest of those and then I'll come back once they're done. Alright, trees are done. Now I've decided that I would put some glitter vinyl on the bottom of, or the top it will face, of the piece of card that sits in the center where the trees will sit on top. So, I mean, I hadn't decided that this is what I was going to do, so I'm just going to cut this off by hand. Otherwise you can duplicate this in Design Space, this card, and you can get the Cricut to cut it. For me, because I just decided to do this rather than leave it white, I've got silver on the tops of the trees, so I thought it would be just fitting to have like silver snow at the bottom that the trees would then sit on. So that's done now. You can see that the acetate box will sit over the top of that, but I want to put my trees on it first. So I've got to glue the trees on it. You work out where you want your trees to go. So work a little template first of where you want your trees to sit. Once you basically work out where you're going to put them, make sure that you keep room around the outside of the trees so that your box can fit around the edges. And it's got this tiny one left. There we go, roughly like that. Tell you what, the feet on these little trees are so tiny. There we go. Okay, so now it'll be time to glue them. I don't know whether the art glitter glue will work on top of the actual glitter card. If it doesn't, then I'll change to a glue gun. Don't know that it's going to sit there like that very much. Very well. No, I don't think it is. So I'll get my glue gun out. Try. It's staying there for the moment, but I think I will get my glue gun out. Oh yeah, no. Okay, glue gun. Alright, got the glue gun. For those who haven't seen this glue gun, it is a cordless glue gun and it is available at Bunnings. And it's $29.99. It's a great glue gun. I'm just winding it around there so I can get the rest of that glue off. There you go, there you have it, there's all the trees. Just got a little bit of glue thread there. Just want to get that out of there. Oops, this little one's coming off, so I need to redo that. There you go. So now the next thing will be to put those trees inside this box. So it's going to basically go in upside down with your tabs over it. So the first thing to do will be to do the side tabs of the box and have the box nice and airtight, well, glitter tight anyway. Time to clean the nozzle. There we go, it's working now. No, need to put the needle through, or the pin. There we go, now it'll work. The next thing to do will be to add some glitter to the box. So we need to do that before we put the trees in. So just sprinkling a little glitter in there. Then the next thing to do will be to get our trees, which are on the card. I need to get rid of this cord that's on my arm. And just pull your tabs down. A little bit of glue along the tabs. So it will sit on the tabs around one side and it'll go under the tabs on the other. So in other words, 2 up, 2 down. So where I've glued there, it will sit directly onto those. Then once that sits, then I'll lift the other sides, the tabs back, and I'll put glue on those tabs. And then I'll fold those down onto the bottom board, or the bottom card. Fold those in. Make sure that they sit flat and flush with the box. Probably have to hold it for a few seconds. There we go, and now the snow has fallen over the trees. A little bit of a tap and it goes all over the card. And it looks really nice actually. That's the reason why you need to have that box airtight. Next I'm going to hot glue this, and then this box will get adhered to the base card. So I'm just making sure that this is airtight. There, that's better. Maybe a little bit around these sides as well. Push that down. You can hear that, that's my puppy snoring. So there you have it, there's the box. Now you can leave it plain like that, or you can put your embellishments on the outside of it. Just getting rid of a little bit of those webs that you get off the hot glue there. Okay, so now we have our snow globe cube. Making sure that there's no glitter escaping anywhere. Next thing to do will be to put it onto the card base. So pick the side that you want it to go on to. Hot glue it onto the card base so that it's nice and firm. Once you've got a liberal amount of glue, just eyeball it so that it goes inside those the fold lines. Must be within those fold lines for the box to be able to open up properly and close properly. Hold it firmly down. Should be good to go now. Just pushing my corners down. Getting a bit of excess glue off there. Need a little bit of normal glue, glitter glue there. Okay, that didn't want to stick, did it? Okay, so glitter glue, hot glue doesn't work on the bottom. I need to put glitter glue instead. Paper to paper. Making sure that it's straight. Just pushing it on to make sure that it's firm. Next step will be to put your embellishments on. Now you could do this at the start where you just have your acetate, and it's probably an easier way to do it is to put the embellishments on first on the acetate, but you don't know, if you don't know whether you're going to use them or not, then I wouldn't worry too much about it. You can put them on last. Okay, so now that that's done and that I have the snowflakes on as well, just to show you that the box is now complete. Have fun with making your Christmas exploding box card. You may want to put something else in there other than the trees. It's totally up to you, but this is just the standard box. It folds in like this. The tabs fold flat. Then you get your lid. And your lid goes on. And nobody would even know what was in the box. So there you have it. I think it's come up very, very well. It's a great design for whoever designed it, but I do believe that with the couple of little tweaks that are with it, now as in the acetate in the one piece and placing it in upside down, it does make it a lot easier to use. Well, maybe not to use, but to implement putting it together. And then you have those areas around the sides there. They're good for putting little messages, writing little messages on. You could do that pre-cutting. If I turned the houses up the other way, I could even make a stand out of it and have it standing up by itself like that. And then I'd have the houses facing the other way. I might do the next one like that.